Hey y'all, it's your friendly neighborhood therapist, and let's have a vocabulary lesson today, shall we? Y'all remember those, right? When we were in school, you would get a vocabulary list of the week and you had to know their definitions because words mean things. Let's do that today. So, victim. A victim is a person harmed, injured, or killed as a result of a crime, accident, or other event or action. Innocent, not guilty of a crime or offense, not responsible for or directly involved in an event yet suffering its consequences. Participant, a person who takes part in something. Now let's go a little bit further with participant. Let's add a pronoun to that. Willing, willing participant, someone who is agreeable or ready to take part in something, often because they enjoy it or want to, rather than being forced or coerced, or let's say, drugged. Consent, permission for something to happen or agreement to do something. Consent cannot be forced. If anything is forced or coerced, you no longer consented. You cannot consent if you are afraid. Can you say the words yes to something? Yeah. Does that mean you actually gave consent if you were under any type of duress or in any type of fear? No. Consent can also be removed at any time. So I could say yes to something initially and then along the way decide, nope, don't want to do this. And now consent has been removed. And if you continue now, I am no longer a willing participant. I am a victim. Remember the word victim? A person harmed, injured, or killed as a result of a crime, accident, or other event or action. So I say these words to say this to y'all. Cassie Ventura, Megan Pete, better known as Megan the Stallion, Halle Bailey, Keke Palmer, Tiana Taylor. All of these women are victims by definition. You can feel however you want to feel about it, but by definition, they are victims. You can sit up here and say Megan lied all you want, but did she get shot? Is there proof of that? Yes. Therefore, she was a person harmed or injured in the result of a crime. The crime, big picture here, is that as a felon, he wasn't supposed to have a weapon. Cassie Ventura. You can say all you want. Oh, she knew what she was doing. She wanted to be there. Do you really know if she was a willing participant? Or was she possibly in fear? And therefore she said yes out of fear, which is not actual consent, which is not willingly participating. It is doing so out of, what did we say? Force or coercion. Force or coercion doesn't have to be something that you can blatantly see. Fear is a form of force or coercion. There are grown men afraid of Sean Combs because people somehow come up unalive from pneumonia messing with him or their cars get blown up. See? And even if you wanted to stick with, well, nope, when she was partying and drinking and doing drugs, she knew she wanted to. It was all about the money. So the scene in the hotel then, how do you explain that? Is she still not a victim? Because I thought that victim meant a person harmed, injured, or killed as a result of a crime, accident, or other event or action. It is a crime to put your hands on someone. That's called assault, or in this case, domestic violence. So you see, it is very important to understand words and their meaning. We need to bring vocabulary tests back because some of y'all don't get it. You can believe whatever you want to believe, but those women fit the actual dictionary definition of a victim. So they are victims. This doesn't mean that they were always a victim. It doesn't mean that at one point they weren't a willing participant. All it means is they are, or at some point became, victims. And just to stretch it just a little further for those who may need a little bit more, I also want you to understand the concept of power dynamics. Power dynamics refers to the ways in which power is distributed, exercised, and experienced within a social or organizational context. It involves the relationships and interactions between individuals or groups where one party possesses or exerts influence or authority over others. Power dynamics can be formal, like hierarchical structures in a workplace, or informal, like cultural privilege or social influence. Money and status often gives people power in certain spaces, whether it be work, cultural, or social. So, even if, let's say, Cassie Ventura was very happy being taken care of, once the money started to be used in order to coerce, force, or scare her, now we get into power dynamics. Y'all love to ignore power dynamics. They are present in all relationships: parent and child, girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, siblings. Power dynamics are there. I need us to do better. And before anyone even says it, yes, men can be victims as well. However, we often do not hear about male victims because many men do not come forward with their victimization stories. Now, that being said, you don't have to tell the world your story, but reporting it would be good so that we can get better numbers of the number of men who have been victims. But just to name some who have been brave and bold enough to speak out: Terry Crews, Tyler Perry, James Vanderbeek, Michael Gaston, and several others. Understand that the reason a lot of men don't come forward can vary. It can be due to the stigma of men being seen as weak if they are victims. It can be because they just don't see themselves as a victim. I have come to find that many men who lost their virginity young to older women do not see themselves as victims because that's a notch on their belt. They were high fived, so they don't feel that it was a problem. It was, you were a victim, it was wrong. Now, that being said, realize most men are victims of other men. That is not to say that women are not predators. There are women who are absolutely predators. But that is just to say, statistically, both men and women are the victims of other men. All right, y'all. Have a beautiful, wonderful rest of y'all day, and I will holler at y'all later.